Okay, now let us see what we call undefined functions or meaningless functions. Now, a function is said to be undefined if its denominator is 0. If the denominator of any function is 0, it's called undefined function. Okay, look at this. A function is said to be undefined if its denominator is 0. Meaningless or undefined means the same. Now, if f of x is this, and you see this, it means that f of x is undefined. You see its denominator is 0. It works if the denominator is 0. That's the only case when you say a function is meaningless. Okay, let us see how we can handle those questions. If f g of x is this, find f or g of 1. Okay, so this means we are going to just substitute. So, g of x is, now g of 1 means I substitute. I have 1 plus 3 over 2 into 1 minus 8. Okay, up I have a 4. Down I have 2 minus 8, which gives me 4 over negative 6. Multiplying negative up and down is that if we reduce this, we get 2 over negative 3. Multiply this negative up and down, we have now negative 2 over 3. Which is by 2, 2, by 2, negative 3. So that's the value. The remaining 2, find the value of x for which g of x is undefined. We said it's undefined if the denominator is 0. So meaning, for it to be undefined, the denominator should be 0. So the whole of this denominator should be 0. So our denominator is 2x minus 8 equal to 0. So now we get the value of x, so 2x. When this comes this side, we get 8. So divide through by 2. So that our x becomes 4. So this is the value of x for which this is going to be undefined. Why do we say that? Because when you put 4 here, you'll be adding 2 times 4, which will be 8. 8 minus 8, which will be 0. So that's why I said it's going to be. This value is going to make this function undefined, because when you put it in the denominator here, it's going to make it 0, which will be undefined. Let us come to this. If p of x is this, find p of negative 1. Okay. In our solution, first of all, p of x is 4 minus 9. So now we put in our negative 1. Where did this x? We put negative 1. So we are in 4 over negative 1 squared minus 9. When you square negative, we get a positive. When you square positive 4, when you square negative 1, we get positive 1 minus 9, which will be 4 over negative 8. This would be negative half with is. So we multiply negative up and down. 4 goes here once, 4 goes here 2 times. After you multiply this negative up, you just take it out, as simple as that. Then remaining 2 values of x for each. Our function is undefined or meaningless. If it's meaningless, it means that the denominator is 0. So we equate this denominator to 0. Should be at 0. So see this way, we can know the difference of 2 squares and so on. Or we take this side to 9. Then we get the square root, both sides. 9. You see that our x will be plus or minus 3. So either x is positive 3 or x is negative 3. All these values are going to make this be 0. Why? This when you put here positive 3, so this square will be 9 minus 9, which will be 0. Negative 3 squared, it will be 9 minus 1, which will be 0. So you see, it's going to make it meaningless if it's 0. Okay, what happens is this, given that f of x is this over this, find the values of x for which f of x is 0. Now this is different, Roman 1 is different. They're telling us that f of x is 0, which means that it's the function which is 0, not the denominator. So now what we do, we get our function which is equaling 0. So this one we just cross multiply. This time this will get x squared minus 2x minus 15 equaling to this time this will get 0. So now here, what do? We factorize this. This is x squared minus 5x plus 3x minus 15 equaling 0. You just see this is, you see the factors of 15 that when you add you get this negative 5 and the 3, the factors of negative 15. So when you factorize out, then the 3 is common here and here. This is common now, equaling 0. So you either this is 0 or is 0. So our x becomes 5 or our x becomes a negative 3. And you are done. Now this one, the function which is 0. Then Roman number 2, values of x for which f of x is undefined. Now this one means the denominator as well is going to be 0. Now here we just note that the denominator is 0. Hope you get the difference. This one, the question was telling us that f of x is just equal to 0. So we just put where is f of x, we put this 0. So the whole of our f of x is this is equal to 0. We cross multiply that we got this. But this is telling us that we find the values of x for which f of x is undefined. We say this undefined if the denominator is equal to 0. Add denominator in this question is this. So x squared plus 4x minus 4 is equal to 0. Hope you have seen the difference. When I say that the factors are going to be 6 and 2, but one has to be negative, so I have x squared plus 6x minus 2x minus 4 equal to 0. These are the factors. When you multiply this one, you get 6 and negative 2, you get this. When you add them, you get that. So x is common. Here negative 2 is common. So that when you multiply this back, you get that. So this and this is now common. So this will give me now x equaling to negative 6 or x equaling 2 at 2. So when it's undefined, when x is negative 6 or when x is 2. Why? You try when you put here 2, you start the whole of this will be 0. The denominator will be 0. Or when you put in negative 6. So that's why we handle undefined functions or meaningless functions. Members, I wish you well.